Hey, you guys like Discord? You like, chilling and saying race? No, we don't say no racism. Not good, not good. Come on my Discord. We might get up to some stuff. Don't tell your parents though. So anyone that's been around this channel for a while knows that every time Bannerlord bring out a new update, a new developer blog, I make a video on it, and we've had a lot of influx on the factions, going into more details and things like that. Now, if you want in-depth detail about each individual faction, go and check out each of my videos. There's a playlist with all of them in. But this video, I'm going to be doing a general summary of it, just to help those people that maybe haven't seen those videos, or they want to know a little bit more about. I'm going to be focusing more on military, so what faction you want to play, depending on what soldiers you like to use, and so on, the tactics you like to use. So that's what I'm going to be going into this video. Now we're going to start off with a big one, the Empire. These are, I don't want to say the main faction, but okay, they're basically the main faction in Bannerlord. They have been the biggest threat to Karadia. They've ruled over it for a long time. Yes, they're not really at the height of power anymore at 200 years after Warband where Bannerlord is set, but their military prowess, knowledge and tactics and superior units are still wandering the land. They are not quite the tight-knit nation they used to be, but the Empire is still a big power and something that needs to be watched out for if you're playing as someone else. They are mostly split into these three civil warring factions. I don't want to say completely civil warring, because sometimes they can come together, they can work together to fight a bigger enemy, and of course, like all these factions, they have their minor factions as well. But why would you play as the Empire? Well, if you want something that's already built up pretty much, you've got some decent units, you've conquered a lot of the land. Yes, granted, you're not one big unique Empire faction anymore, you've split off and splintered out, but if you want already set up trade routes, if you want troops that are well experienced, well thought out, they may be getting older now, they may be past their day compared to some of these other troops coming in, but they are still the veterans of the campaign, and you might want to try and regain the Empire's prowess and rule over Karadia. Now, they are very much orientated towards a bit of everything, but most importantly, they're very heavily armored cataphracts. What they do is they use a lot of their spearmen, which aren't amazing troops, but they're good for pinning down the enemy's infantry. Once this can be done, the superior cataphracts can flank round and put those smashing charges into the back of any enemy that pretty much stands before them. These heavily armored guys not only have spears, but they have maces and cleavers and scimitars and things like that, just to chop down anyone that comes in the way, and the horse does a lot of charge damage. We have seen some gameplay of horses charging into enemies and them go absolutely flying. Not only do they have these spearmen and horsemen though, but they can use archers to devastating effect. They aren't known for their archers, but they are definitely known for using the archers the best way they can, getting the best out of what they have. So that is the Empire faction, and I think that is a good all-rounder faction if you want to look something in that, and maybe donning those purple robes, becoming the Emperor of the Empire, and taking back, reforming this Empire, and taking it back from all these invading factions. Now, the Battalions are some interesting ones. These guys, a bit like the Empire, they do specialize in heavy cavalry. They're not necessarily all set out like the Empire, though. If you want to be very specialized in heavy cavalry, I would go far to say their heavy cavalry might be able to just about be the Empire if used to great effect. But of course, Empire, they have the use of these spearmen and archers, which yes, the Battalions still do. They are known for having some decent archers as well on the side, but the most part, they are specialized in these heavy cavalry, these shock cavalry charges. They don't like these long drawn out fights, but getting into the battle and moving out. They are more of a feudal state, so they have a very much set out economy system, so they do have their ranks from the higher to the lower. They're very much an organized troop of people, very much unlike some of the steppe tribes or the nomadic factions that we have in Bannerlord. Like any other faction, of course, they do have their minor factions in there that you can either team up with or you can wipe out and recruit them to your own men. Moving on, we're going into the Azeri. Now, very much like the Saronids and Warband, the Azeri are the predecessors of this nation. They are used to and inhabit the desert lands, and this is where they perform well, having combined footmen and horsemen in battles, and a lot of use of some specialized horsemen as well. They are pretty good with archers on horseback once again, but of course the Azeri are known for fighting in the desert lands. Moving too far out in the desert lands can be disadvantageous to these guys because they're not used to this. They fight best in their own terrain, and a bit like the Saronids, they are very specialized in javelinmen and very good archers as well. I have to say, using archers in this can be absolutely devastating if you're fighting against the right enemies. You don't want to be setting up tons of archers against tons of cavalry factions, but against the infantry factions, these guys are going to be something you want to watch out for. Now, many people think the Sturgians are rather descendants of the Nords. They inhabit these northern woodlands, a bit like the Nord did in Warband, and they are specialised in axemen and swordsmen. But they're not really. They came in from a long way away, and they have invaded Calradia, and they want to set up their own home here. Once again, they are very specialised in infantry, they've got very big shields, and yes, they do have some relation to the Nords, but they're not the direct descendants from them. And on the list, if you want big shields forming big infantry columns, these are the guys you want to be looking out for. If you want to be looking more into the archer, they do have some archer frontiersmen. They really don't have the cavalry force to be able to take on people like the Empire or the Valandians, who do have these heavy cavalry. The Sturgian cavalry would be lighter and no match for these in close combat, but nonetheless they can still be used to your advantage as well. But these guys, mostly known for their axe and swordsmen, perfect against anti-infantry as well. And of course, if you get up and close to their archers, if you can beat past the hordes of arrows, you might be able to do a ton of damage with your infantrymen in melee combat. Now, everyone loves a bit of the Kurgit Khanate, and it is no different in the Kurzates. These guys, they are, frankly, the predecessors of the Kurgit Khanate, so of course they derive from the same step. They are tribal people who specialise very much in heavy and light horse archery. May it be harassing from a distance, these guys are perfect. May it be Parthian shot, hitting and running, these guys are perfect. And even in a tight spot, they can use their hand in a bit of melee. These guys are the perfect horsemen, trained from a young age to be able to ride before they could even walk. If you are a more skirmish player, these guys are definitely the ones that you want to be looking at. This is the Kurzate faction, the ancestors of the Kurgit Khanate, and yes, they are lethal on horseback. And the final main faction we're going to be looking at today are the Battalions. The Battalions are an interesting faction. They can be compared to a bit of a mix of the Rhodoks and the Vaegirs. They have very much specialised in archers, but they have some decent spearmen as well. I wouldn't say these guys are necessarily a very overpowered faction, and more of the underdog really in the Calradic world at the moment, but they can push through, and with the right leader you can take them to victory. I love the armour and things on the Battalions, they look absolutely gorgeous. And of course, archers is something that I really like playing as, sitting at the back, bombarding the enemy with many arrows, can not only slaughter a lightly armoured army like the Kurzates and such, but can even wear down some of the heavier armour, such as the Sturgians, who will come at them with their big shields and heavy chainmail, but these guys can wear them down from a distance, and that is where the Battalions come in. I wouldn't necessarily say these guys are amazing at close combat, but keeping these guys back, using it tactically, a bit like the Kurzates but on foot, using skirmish tactics with the Battalions is the way to win a battle, and that's what you're going to be wanting to doing with this marksmanship faction. But that's pretty much my summary of the main factions. Yes, each of these factions have their minor factions and tribes that you can work with, you can trade with them, you can get troops from them as well, or you can mix and match. Go and recruit people from other factions, make them join your cause and fight for you in the War of Calradia. But of course, like I said, if you want more in-depth information of each of the individual factions, go and watch my video and you'll be sure to find a lot of information on that. If you like Kingdom Come Deliverance and Easter eggs and little secrets and things like that, and tutorials, or just plain gameplay, there are more Kingdom Come Deliverance videos coming on their way. And my last two videos, go and check them out. There's some cool Easter eggs and horse armor, which I'm dumbfounded that I actually found that, because it's very well hidden in the game. There's no markers or anything, but if you go and check out that video, you'll be able to find it yourself. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you join my Discord, and if you feel the need to support me on Patreon. But thank you, and I will see you in the next one.